Some crimes could go unsolved for months, while some might even take as long as a decade before the truth is brought to light. Such was recently the case, as cops have now found a device holding as much as $3 billion in stolen Bitcoin, stashed in a popcorn tin after a 10-year investigation. Keep watching this video to get the full details of the shocking crime. What you need to know: authorities in Georgia say a man faces up to 20 years in prison after they discovered almost $3 billion in Bitcoin hidden in a popcorn tin at his home. This past Friday, 32-year-old James Jong admitted to stealing Bitcoin in 2008 from the underground Silk Road Bazaar, a platform which was eventually taken down by the FBI in 2013. The United States Department of Justice said this week that in a November 2021 raid, authorities seized 50,667 Bitcoin, worth approximately $3.36 billion from Jong's house in Gainesville, even though the amount of cryptocurrency confiscated in the operation was second only to the $3.6 billion in cryptocurrency stolen in the 2016 hack of crypto exchange Bitfinex. The value of cryptocurrency has subsequently declined. With his guilty plea, Jong faces a maximum of 20 years in prison for wire fraud, and on February 22, 2023, he's said to be given his official punishment. Where did he stash it? Bitcoin and cash were recovered by police from a single-board computer that had been concealed in a popcorn tin and placed in a bathroom closet at Jong's residence. In 2019, Athens, Georgia Police Lieutenant Sean Barnett revealed that Jong had called in to report a burglary. In the same year, while residing in Athens, Georgia, Jong reported numerous thefts to the police, including the loss of a lot of Bitcoin, which caught the attention of the Internal Revenue Service Criminal Investigation Division. However, Barnett did say that the burglary and the quantity of money reported stolen raised a red flag with the IRS, despite the fact that the cash was never recovered and no suspect was ever identified. The move to bust Jong. Athens police and the IRS CI conducted a joint investigation in the fall of 2021, leading to a search warrant and an arrest. Solving a decade-long mystery, federal agents said that they located the stolen Bitcoin while serving a search warrant at Jong's Georgia residence. The single-board computer with the digital tokens was tucked away in a popcorn tin in a bathroom closet near Jong's house. In addition to 11 one-ounce silver and gold bars, authorities also found $662,000 in cash, physical Bitcoin coins, and an 80% stake in a Memphis-based real estate investment company with significant assets. James Jong committed wire fraud over a decade ago when he stole approximately 50,000 Bitcoin from Silk Road, U.S. Attorney Damian Williams said in a statement this week. The location of this huge amount of missing Bitcoin became a $3.3 billion mystery for nearly 10 years. Law enforcement discovered and retrieved this enormous hoard of criminal proceeds thanks to cutting-edge cryptocurrency tracing and good old-school detective work. Robbing the Silk Road. According to the prosecution, Jong carried out a conspiracy to defraud the Silk Road dark web marketplace. They claimed he opened 9 accounts in September 2012 and would repeatedly seek withdrawals, tricking the website into paying him more than he had initially invested. He had taken out all of the cryptocurrency held by the website after doing this 140 times. The Bitcoin was subsequently moved into different accounts in an effort to avoid detection. Special agent in charge Tyler Hatcher stated that Mr. Jong carried out a complex scheme designed to steal Bitcoin from the infamous Silk Road marketplace. Once he was successful in his heist, he tried to conceal his loot through a series of complicated transactions that he hoped would be improved as he hid behind the mystery of the dark net. 5 men who pulled off shocking financial crimes in the last 2 decades. If you think Jong's Bitcoin theft is shocking, then allow me to list out 5 men who pulled off even more shocking financial crimes in the last 2 decades alone. 1. Samuel Israel III. Former CEO and hedge fund manager Samuel Israel III pulled off a real shocker when investors raised about $450 million, which he then used fraudulently for personal gain. Israel was utilizing the funds from these investors to fund a Ponzi scheme. His company established a fictitious accounting firm to fact-check their data and keep up the idea that they were conducting business honestly after a year with extraordinarily low returns. When his plan was discovered in 2005, he was charged and given a 20-year prison term for his crimes. But it doesn't end there. Israel fled after being sentenced, unlike Bernie Madoff, who was planning to be turned in after he revealed his crimes. Deborah Ryan, Israel's girlfriend, acknowledged assisting in his escape. They both appeared on America's Most Wanted in a well-known episode. He was located in Massachusetts, later that year, and because of his attempt to elude capture, his sentence was increased by 2 years. 2. Tom Petters. Among the list of financial offenses committed by Tom Petters include conspiracy, mail fraud, wire fraud, and money laundering. One of his associates described it as essentially a huge, complex Ponzi scheme. False bank statements were used by Petters and associates, who were doing business as the Petters Group worldwide, to entice investors to invest with them. They would then get bank loans for billions of dollars as a means of repaying prior debt, using the acquired and invested funds. Petters and co. would forge paperwork to claim they were buying goods from big box retailers. Lenders would wire funds to the retailers, who would then send the funds to Petters and co., less a commission. The money was used to pay off participants in the plan, other Petters-owned businesses, and Petters himself to support his extravagant lifestyle. Due to a reliable informant, the FBI started looking into Petters in 2008 for proof of a plan involving loans and investments based on hypothetical purchases as well as tax fraud. He was ultimately found guilty of these federal offenses for running the $3.65 billion Ponzi scam Petters Group worldwide and received a 50-year prison term. He continues to claim innocence despite the overwhelming evidence against him. 3. Alan Stanford. A banker named Alan Stanford was behind yet another large Ponzi scheme. His strategy involved banks in Venezuela and the Caribbean, as well as within American borders. In order to persuade potential investors to join with him, Stanford portrayed hypothetical profits as genuine business data and asserted that his certificates of deposit were safer than accounts insured by the U.S. government. He was able to conceal their scheme by altering Stanford International Bank's documents as he embezzled money. The Securities and Exchange Commission filed charges against him in 2009 for a massive $8 billion investment scheme. In 2001, the judge ultimately determined that he was competent to face trial after his attempts to leave the country, account freezing, arrest, and claims of medical issues making him unfit to stand trial. He was found guilty at trial in 2012 and given a sentence of 110 years in jail for designing and carrying out one of the biggest Ponzi schemes ever. 4. Scott W. Rothstein. Former managing shareholder, chairman, and CEO of the law firm Rothstein Rosenfeld Adler, Scott W. Rothstein is a disbarred attorney. There were numerous highly confidential litigation settlements involving Rothstein's Ponzi scam. To put it simply, Rothstein gave investors the opportunity to purchase substantial legal settlements at bargain prices, which granted them the right to payouts with higher yields. That was undoubtedly not the case, though. Investors were anticipating significant returns on their investments, and allegedly already got settlement money from the defendants. Rothstein was not alone in exploiting these investor funds to support his extravagant lifestyle. The other lawyers at the firm were as well. This went on for a while, but in 2009, there was not enough money to pay back investors, so Rothstein left the country. A few weeks later, he came back to the country and surrendered. He then assisted law enforcement during their investigation, and he ultimately entered a guilty plea. He received prison sentences together with many of his colleagues, including his wife. He was convicted of conducting a $1.2 billion Ponzi scheme and is currently serving a 50-year jail sentence in an undisclosed location. 5. Mark Dreyer. Former attorney Mark Dreyer was the brains behind a Ponzi scheme that defrauded investors by offering them phony financial instruments, assets, or packages of assets that could be traded. Dreyer would set up meetings with financiers and individuals posing as U.S. and Canadian government representatives to sell the fake promissory notes. He carried on doing this up to the tune of a whopping $700 million USD. After receiving a 20-year prison term for 8 counts of fraud, Dreyer was ultimately barred from practicing law by the New York Supreme Court in 2009. He'll be released in 2026, a few years earlier than when his sentence was originally given. So guys, are there any other shocking financial crimes you can think of? It'd be great if you told us about it in the comment section. And if you enjoyed watching this video, why don't you give it a like and share so your friends can watch it too. Lastly, be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit the notification bell to keep getting more interesting content like this. Thanks for watching.